Okay, welcome back to our Tech and 10 series. We said we're going to dive into a technical calf subject because we are heading into seasonal calving systems each week for the next couple of weeks. And I talked about last week the three legs of the stool, the calf. We talked about milk feeding. Today we're going to talk about the calf's environment. Let's go, Matthias, 10 minutes. So, okay, we can't all build new sheds. So what are the key things about the calf? I think, and I'm very lucky, I say this all the time, to travel to different systems. So many, unique calf sheds, old calf sheds, brand new ones. And I always say to people, look, we can't all build new sheds. Infrastructure is what it is, but the routines within inside it are really important. And in seasonal systems, we're using these calf sheds for a short period of time. So they are a significant investment. We definitely can make them better. I always go back to basics. Look at the calf. What is the calf telling us? What's it telling us about its environment? Is it cold? Are they huddling? Are they coughing? Are they performing? Are we getting pneumonia year after year? Because if we are, we've got to look at ventilation and fresh air. So when we think about the calf shed, we think about the calf. What does the calf want? We also think about our routines, feeding regimes, cleaning out. Ultimately, we want in seasonal systems all in, all out. So we want to put calves into one pen. It minimizes the spread of disease. Ultimately, we'd like to have our calves away from adult stock. They're more immunologically naive, they're more at risk. So ultimately, we'd like to have a calf shed separately. These are all things we'd like to have. We talked about the seesaw last week, time and time again, bring it up because it's so simple. When we're trying to reduce infectious disease, we have two things we want to do. We want to rise up immunity on one side, and we want to drive down infection pressure that the animal is exposed to on the other, the harmful bugs and pathogens. So this is kind of where the environment becomes really key. Okay, it can impact immunity as well because if calves get cold, etc. But ultimately, this is where we try and minimize exposure to infection. So when we think about inside the calf shed, what are we looking to do? There's loads of different designs and systems, but we want to reduce moisture, particularly in seasonal systems, because bugs love moisture. And the first place we think about moisture, well, drainage. And one thing I see on farms, certainly if I'm setting up a calf pen, we look at a floor of 1 to 20, we ask our builder to build that, they're going to say that is just a crazy slope, I'm not going to do it. But we're trying to get away moisture out of pens is really key. Something that often doesn't work very well is channels to take that moisture away. But drainage and moisture is where I'd start. I'd always look at the calves, look at the bedding. The calf is more prone to the cold because it's a monogastric, so we want a warm, dry lie. And remember, the calf spends greater than probably 80% of its day lying down. So we really got to get down that calf environment. People have, the kneeling test. So if you've got wet knees in a calf environment, that's not good for the calf. It's not good for infection pressure. So when we think about bedding, there is probably one bedding that out surpasses everything. Someone said to me once, straw solves a lot of problems, and they were right. Okay, so straw comes at a cost, but if we've got good drainage and a deep straw bed, people talk about nesting scores for calves. I say to people, how much straw should you put in? Imagine the farming press is coming to take a picture of your calves for this week's farming paper. How much straw would you put in then? You'd have them full of straw. So straw is really, really critical. Now, if straw is a cost and we've got good drainage, we can do things like putting up 4x8s or something here to keep straw back, so we have this kind of warm lying area. And then around feeders we've got concrete. So bedding is really important. Space as well in houses. This is probably, whether it's pigs, poultry, or any animal we're trying to work with indoors. If we pack animals into space, it makes disease so much easier to spread. And then I think in seasonal systems, we're trying to get airflow right. So when we think about airflow, there's a couple of things we talk about. We talk about airspeed, drafts. What are they? Drafts are a certain speed. I can't even remember what it is again, but we know what drafts are. There's cold air being pushed in on animals, and that makes animals cold and more likely to disease. We want to minimize drafts, but we also want to change air in around the calf at calf level up to 5 to 6 times an hour. So often we're relying on natural ventilation, which can be a challenge, or sometimes we'll put these tubes into houses, which we call positive pressure ventilation, and this is getting a bit messy. They push air down on a calf level. Okay, couple of things. I think if you have space, again, the problem with seasonal systems is it can be like it was last week, 1 degree in January or 1 degree in February, and then it can be 15 or 20 degrees in April. It's very hard to manage that variability. So what we can do is we can have more open sheds. We can have calf hutches, which is where the calf manages its own micro environment. Or we can look at pushing air into sheds. So if we have more open sheds, we probably need something like calf jackets. We need to give calves a little bit more milk. If we're going to control airflow, we can use these tubes. Now, one mistake I've seen made in these tubes is every shed is a different size, and these pre-drilled holes can be a mistake because they can often push air out and over calves. What we want is airflow down on calves. The other trick with these tubes is to have them on a variable speed, so they can be put up at a higher level when you need to get more air in maybe April. And if it's cold and we want just a gentle breeze on these calves, they can be, and I also work off a thermostat, so variable speed and thermostat. They work well, but they need to be fitted and designed with the shed that you're putting it into in mind and getting air down on calves. So fresh air, drainage, reducing moisture, a good warm bed, and then addressing the cold. This is a real challenging one in housing systems because I don't think I've ever been in a perfect calf shed. I've been in a perfect calf shed maybe in January when it's cold because there's loads of straw, but then that calf shed changes dramatically. The ways around managing cold is calf jackets, more milk when you need to feed it, plenty straw bedding, and then, but when it gets more humid and warm, we have to be able to adapt those sheds. I think another thing with calf sheds is that all in, all out system. So if we've got pens, we're filling them like this. We're filling pen 1 first, then pen 2, pen 3. And getting away, when we think about the person and their time, probably the most important thing, it is so easy to rear calves on a whiteboard. I found that. But what's much more important is to think about your daily routines: feeding, bedding, calf observations. How easy are they to do? I see more and more sheds putting in lights, which work really well. You may have clear roofs, which calves seem to like as well, but you need a nice bright shed where you can see your sick calves, have that part of your routine. The other thing is your feeding. So, where's your feeding station? Where are you washing it? We talked about hygiene for feeding, making sure you're feeding milk bars outside. If you're going to clean out and going to, that you can get in a loader or something that makes cleaning easy. Okay, so that's the calf environment. We've lots more stuff on Calf Health Champions website. We've done lots of stuff on Tommy the Vet YouTube channel as well on all things calf health and shed design. The challenge with sheds is it's a very farm specific thing. You may be working with old infrastructure that you need to improve, and you can make improvements. Simple things. This is getting a little bit busy now, but if we look at the calf pen and it's very cold and we have a straw lie back, even putting in a square bale or a bale of straw in a cold period, calves will tend to lie around it. So there's lots of little adaptations we can do. Don't forget, we've got some really effective tools. Don't tend to work in our own farms. Our nose. If we're consistently smelling ammonia in calf sheds, then airflow is a challenge. We're not getting those air cycle changes. If we're consistently getting issues with pneumonia and calf health challenges, airflow and the environment is a challenge. Small changes over time can make a difference. The routines, sometimes better routines can outperform brilliant infrastructure. It'd be great if you could do both together. And calves are the next generation of the farmer investing in the future. So there are some top tips on calf housing and the calf environment, an important leg of the stool. See you next week for the next Tech in 10.